Right. Dear UPSC aspirants, this is Dr. K. Rajashekhar from Laexcellence IAS. So today we are going to look into the science and technology questions that have come in the UPSC 2025 prelims. If you observe, there were about 14 questions that have come from the science and technology part. And nicely distributed if you notice. We have seen 2 questions from the space, 2 questions from the defense technologies, 2 questions related to the ICT and 2 from energy. And we have seen few questions that have come from the, if you can consider them as part of the sciences, like basic chemistry, are related to the chemistry and its applications, like things related to activation of carbon, plastic pollutants, and few other like fuels, etc. have seen coming from the chemistry. So both basic sciences and applied sciences. Okay, so it clearly indicates that the importance of studying the foundational sciences very well and connecting them to the applications. Right, let us go into the specific questions here. So starting with this is set B, first 10 questions and few other questions are connected to science and technology. So first question is about energy, and you notice here this question is asking about different types of vehicles, electric vehicles or EV vehicles, like full battery vehicles, hydrogen fuel based vehicles, and fuel cell electric hybrid vehicles. If you notice, these battery electric vehicles completely work on the battery, and whereas these ones use hydrogen as a fuel to create electricity to power the batteries using that, and the third one is combination of both. And they're asking how many of the above are considered as the alternative powertrain vehicles. If you understand, powertrain vehicles refer to vehicles which work on alternate engines in addition to the what we commonly see. We see combustion engines, right? So combustible engines are seen in regular vehicles as an alternate to this. Powertrain vehicles, these are all powertrain vehicles. These are all considered to be alternate to the regular combustion engines. So all 3 becomes the right answer here. All 3 becomes the right answer here. Whereas the next question, question number 2, it is about UAVs from the defense part. Unmanned aerial vehicles are asking about here, and they asked 3 things here related to the functioning of the UAVs and different versions of them. Here first they asked about all types of UAVs can do vertical landing. Can they vertically come down and land on the target or on the place where it's supposed to land? Okay, it is not possible for every kind of UAVs. UAVs are of different kinds. There is something called as fixed wing UAVs, fixed wings. It's more like an aeroplane, right? Can aeroplane land anywhere vertically? It cannot, right? So similarly, fixed wing drones or fixed wing UAVs cannot land like that. We have other ones like there that have rotatory versions or rotary blades, more like helicopter versions. They can fly like that. So true with even UAVs, not all of them can vertically land. Then all types of UAVs can do automated hovering. Hovering means what? Staying in one particular place. Okay, we know that from the previous example, helicopters can do that, aircrafts cannot do it. So same idea here, not all of them can automatically hover on a particular point. So this is also incorrect. Third statement, all types of UAVs can use battery only as a source of power. This may be true with many of them, but not all of them, because some of them, more which are heavier, which probably carry even the kind of weapons on them. So they require a regular fashion, fly off and landing techniques. So not all of them are operated by battery. So all 3 statements are incorrect here. They're asking for correct statements. So none of them are correct. D becomes the right answer. Some students might have thought about vertical landing may be possible for all of them, or battery may be possible for all of them. Little confusing. Definitely they conceptually looked into some advancement here. Okay, right. So D becomes the right answer for this. In the context of electric vehicle batteries, another question related to EVs here. This time they focused on batteries. Consider the following things. The context they looked into is the chemistry behind it, how electric vehicle batteries operate. Here particularly they asked a question on, they gave 4 different substances here, cobalt, graphite, lithium and nickel, and asked which of the above usually used as cathodes in batteries. For this you need to have the understanding of 2 electrodes. We have what is called as anodes, and then we have what is called as cathodes in these batteries, right? Anodes are generally negatively charged, cathodes are positively charged electrodes, wherein electrons will move from anode to the cathode. This is how batteries actually operate. They require specific properties. If you notice here, they are asking for the cathodes, cobalt, lithium, nickel. All of them are in various combinations, can be used as cathodes, can be used as a cathode. Leaving out the graphite. Graphite can be a well-known, commonly used substance for anodic, creating anode version of it. Okay, lithium not directly used as a cathode, but lithium in combination with cobalt can be used or can be prepared, can be used in preparing cathodes. So like that here, only 3 of them can be used as cathode, leaving the graphite part. Okay, so basic chemistry is required here, and then following the technology related to that is necessary. Next question, 4th question, they are asking about, they have given 3 different objects: cigarette butts, eyeglass lenses, car tires, and asking how many of them contain plastic, which of them contribute to the plastic pollution in a way. So cigarette butts, you may think there is no plastic in them, but the filters that are used in cigarette butts, filters, they use some form of plastic material which in nature can become microplastics and cause pollution. Some reports, National Geography etc. have produced saying that cigarette butts are very common problems of plastic pollution, very common source of plastic pollution. Similarly, eyeglasses, lenses used in eyeglasses also use different kind of polycarbonates. They are also plastics in nature. Car tires, we know car tires are primarily made with rubber, various kind of synthetic or natural rubber. In addition to that, to strengthen the rubber, plastic materials are used, like nylon, like plastic materials are also used. So all 3 contain plastic materials. Okay, so C becomes the right answer here. Next question, question number 5. Here it is also basic chemistry related to the coal gasification process. Here they are asking, in ethanol, nitroglycerin, urea, in which of these, production of which of them or how many of them coal gasification is used. What happens in coal gasification? Organic materials containing coal basically reacted with oxygen at high temperature, in order to create things like synthetic gas or syngas. And this can be used further to create different products. Yes, this can be used in production of ethanol. We can use such material from which ethanol can be produced. So this is indeed correct. We can also use it to produce urea. Urea, primarily they use this kind of syngas for producing ammonia first, and then from ammonia later urea is generated. So syngas can also be connected to the production of urea. But in nitroglycerin, where we use nitric acid and glycerol are mixed here, where no connection to synthetic gas or syngas or coal gasification. So this one is not related to this. Ethanol, urea are. So these things we need to be particularly aware about to answer this question, otherwise it's not easy, not straightforward. So only 2 of them for which it can be used. So B becomes the right answer, right? So conceptual understanding is needed so far. Next question is from the current affairs part. Also little rare idea here. They have listed 3 different substances. One is called Cl20 and HMX and LLM105, and they are asking that in the media we hear about them. What are they? What is common to them? All 3 of them indeed are explosives that are being seen in research related to military weapons. Okay, in the context, if you notice here, Cl20, it is called China Lake 20, a place where in America they have produced it. Otherwise, these have complex names, HMX, LLM, etc. These things are seen as alternate to nuclear weapons. They are alternate to nuclear weapons. And in the news, many times we heard that in China, as well as in India, IACT, Hyderabad based IACT, and in China, Chinese scientists have found a few months ago a way to produce something like Cl20. Okay, so India, China, etc., they're all working on producing these kind of high explosive weapons as an alternate to nuclear in order to use them in military. So B becomes the right answer. This is something that we need to connect. We see Such questions often in the exam as well that we need to be familiar with. Okay, next question is about again current affairs here, science and technology related current affairs, particularly related to information and communication technology. Okay, in February 2025 we heard that Majorana 1 chip, okay, and they're asking this expected that Majorana 1 chip will enable quantum computing, and they're saying that this Majorana chip has been introduced by Amazon Web Services. These two statements are connected here. Indeed, we have seen in Feb 2025 not Amazon Web Services but rather Microsoft. Okay, Microsoft company has released this. So indeed it's a quantum chip useful for quantum computing. So first statement becomes right. Okay, but not Amazon Web Services but Microsoft. So second statement becomes wrong. Third statement is a very different one related to artificial intelligence. They're saying deep learning is subset of machine learning. It is indeed true. Artificial intelligence is implemented by machine learning. Under machine learning we have something called deep learning, where we mimic human brain in order to create things, you know, that work effectively in reproducing what we do in terms of intelligence. So this is also correct, except for the second statement factually wrong. Others two statements are correct. They're asking for the correct statements here. 1 and 3 becomes the right. So C is the right answer to this. Okay, that is question number 7 related to IT and current affairs. Question number 8, this is related to biology question. This is from biology and its application, biotechnology. So with reference to monoclonal antibodies often mentioned in news, consider the following statements. What are monoclonal antibodies? You might have heard about antibodies. Antibodies are basically produced by our immune system of animals towards antigens. Okay, generally we produce mixture of those antibodies in our body, whereas we can in laboratory we can produce them. Okay, that is what first statement is referring to. They are man-made proteins, those that are synthesized in the laboratory. That is correct. They stimulate immunological function due to their ability to bind specific antigens. I was already telling you that is the nature of them. They bind to specific antigens at specific sites. This is also correct. They are used in treating viral infections like Nipah virus. Nipah virus is a pathogen, right? If this kind of pathogens, you know, it is very difficult to find treatment options for them, unlike antibiotics against bacteria. So in these cases, we can actually produce antibodies which are specific to these pathogens. Experimentally for Nipah virus, that has been done. Otherwise, monoclonal antibodies are readily available in the market now against Ebola, against COVID. Okay, so this is indeed also true. So which of the statements above are correct? All three statements are correct. D becomes a right answer here. A question from biology, application of components that we study in biology and biotechnology. Next question, question number 9, another question from biology here, and this is a question that is related to one of the old questions. They asked about viruses can infect which of the following. Viruses can infect most of the known living organisms, and if you understand that concept, this becomes easy. They are asking, no virus can survive in ocean waters. Think about in ocean waters, generally viruses need hosts. They cannot survive by themselves. Are there many different organisms living in the ocean bodies? Yes. Can viruses affect them? They can. So this is wrong. Viruses can live in organisms living in ocean waters. Second statement is also connected to that. No virus can infect bacteria. We know bacteriophage, viruses called as bacteriophage can infect bacteria. And bacteria can live in ocean water. So if you know one of these statements, you can answer the other. So no, this is also not right. It can. No virus can change the cellular transcriptional activity. What is the meaning of that? If you understand generally how viruses multiply, they get into the host. They take over host mechanism to synthesize or to make proteins. And generally, It is called transcription and translation. We make RNA from DNA, or particularly a gene from which RNA is made in a transcription process. This transcriptional activity is taken over by the virus in the host. So yes, they impact the transcriptional process in the virus. So they are saying no, it is not possible. How many of the statements given above are correct? None of them are correct. All of them are incorrect. Okay, coming to the question number 10. Here it is again chemistry related question. So statement 1, they are asking about activated carbon. What is activated carbon? Activated carbon is basically carbon or organic material that you can use, carbonous material that you can use, and you heat it, and then make it more porous. That is called activation of carbon. Okay, they are asking, activation of carbon is a good and an attractive tool to remove pollutants from effluent streams, from where contamination flows into the rivers, etc., and to remediate contaminants from various industries, industrial pollution and effluents. Can we treat them using this? Okay, we'll see. Next statement, activated carbon exhibits a large surface area and a strong potential for adsorbing. Adsorbing means, surface level attaching to pollutants, heavy metals. Okay, yes, activated carbon exhibits large surface area. I was telling you it becomes porous and its surface area increases, and it now becomes a better material for absorbing heavy metals. If that is the case, can it actually explains its role as an attractive tool in removing pollutants? Definitely yes, right? That is what makes carbon such a good material for cleaning things. Next, looking into statement 3. So both statements are definitely right here. Statement 3, activated carbon can be easily synthesized from environmental waste with high carbon content. I know students generally worried about these terms. Easily, can we do it easily? Technically, you may not know this, but is it possible to create activated carbon from the environmental waste with high carbon? Think about something like, agriculture waste, something like agriculture waste. And primarily they say coconut shells, biomass, etc., which is carbon rich, and we can perform activation of such carbon where surface area can be increased and porousness can be increased, because of which it acts like a good adsorbent material. So what you see here as a connection, this is interesting because in science and technology we have not seen much of these multiple statement questions. We have seen 2 statement questions in the past. It's rare to see 3 statements, but interestingly, if you notice, they are not too difficult statements. They are logically linked to each other. Okay, but little amount of prediction is required here. So clearly, what is the answer here? A becomes the answer because both statement 2 and 3 are correct, and both of them explain the statement 1. This much amount of understanding is required to answer this question. Okay, these are the first 10 questions connected to the science and technology. Then few other questions also we have seen. Question number 54, a straightforward question related to space technology. We generally discuss in our classes about Gagan projects, Gagan application of the NAVIC system of India. So Gagan GPS aided geo-augmented navigation. It uses system of ground stations to provide necessary augmentation. That is what the name says. Which of the following statements is correct in respect of Gagan? It is designed to provide additional accuracy and integrity. Yes, in addition to the global navigation systems. This is called satellite-based augmentation system. Gagan is considered to be that. You are adding information locally to the global navigation system. That is indeed the case. Next, it will allow more uniform and high quality air traffic management. That is why it is used for Airport Authority of India and ISRO have together built it. So for air traffic management, definitely it is allowing for high quality air traffic management. That is the primary purpose of it. Then they are asking, it will provide benefits only in aviation but not in other modes of transportation. What stops it from using in other areas? Particularly if you see Indian Railways actually uses them from real-time train tracking. So it is not just limited to the air traffic. So this is not right. Select the correct answer. So 1 and 2 statements become right, 1 and 2 only, third statement is wrong here. Okay, question number 61, consider the following statements. Statement 1, again basic chemistry here. Rare earth elements are used in the manufacturing of the flat television. What are rare earth elements? If you see in the periodic table, there are 18 columns And if you see the third column, in the third column, if you come towards the bottom of the third column, you see 2 elements here plus 15 elements belonging to what is called as lanthanides. Lanthanides. Okay, these chemicals are called as rare earth metals. They are called rare earth not because they are rare in earth, but they are not found in high concentrations. Generally, they are found in low concentrations, and they have great utility applications in various sectors. For that reason, they are called as rare earth metals. So these rare earth metals are used in manufacturing of the flat television screens and the computer monitors. Okay, indeed they are used in electronics like that. That is the case. Statement 2 is these elements have phosphorescent properties. What is phosphorescence? You probably have heard about fluorescence. This is one kind of fluorescence where light falls on an object or element like this and it releases light in response to it. For a long-term release of light, phosphorescence is generally used. Okay, because of this nature, they become good options for television screens, etc. So now you think about it. Statement 2 and 1 are correct, right? And statement 2 explaining 1, indeed yes. Both statement 1 and 2 are correct, and statement 2 explains statement 1. So A becomes the right answer to this. Okay, right. So basic chemistry again here. Okay, last 2 questions. Question number 63. People have prepared for space technology. This is one of the expected questions for them. But the thing is, they have asked the logic behind it, connection between different missions, not directly asking about a particular mission. Exam 4, where private players are sending people to space station, including Indian astronaut. They are going to space station. This is connected to space station. SpaceX is ISRO's test to dock different objects in space. Again, a requirement for building space station in future. Third one, Gaganyaan. We are sending people into low Earth orbit. And in all these 3 cases, is it something encouraging and supporting microgravity research? Going to space station, building space station, and doing experiments in the low Earth orbits. All 3 are connected to the microgravity experiment. So C becomes the right answer here. Okay, indirectly asking about something you might have read for the exam. Next question is about India's defense. This is very particular question, particular specific products they are asked about, which is a little difficult if you have not covered them. Okay, they asked about Dornier, IL-76, C-17. What are all those things? Basically, these are all transport aircrafts. All these 3 are transport aircrafts. Okay, so here, if you know this much, that is good enough to answer this question. Dornier, maritime patrol aircraft. Indeed, Dornier, okay, which was produced in Germany, which Indian Air Force and also Indian Navy also uses them for 2 things. One for transport and another for maritime patrol, along with many other applications of it. So clearly, maritime patrol can be done with Dornier 228. Next come the IL-76, which was produced in Soviet Union, and IL-76 is also transport, not a supersonic combat aircraft. It's a transport aircraft. Third one, C-17 Globemaster 3. What is this? This is actually a military transport aircraft. Military transport aircraft. Okay, that is correct. So how many of the given pairs are correctly matched? Only 2 are correctly matched. So like that, we have seen 14 questions and coming from various areas of science and technology. This demands a thorough understanding of various concepts in science and technology and relating them to the applications and relating them to the concepts. I hope you have done well in the exam. All the best with your preparation. Thank you.